Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. First, it will be revealed what pieces of information Cabinet had when it agreed to a new stadium at Macquarie Point. Our new minority parliament claiming a big win on transparency, with the Premier kicking off further reform.
With a week of his transparency track record being questioned, the Premier's extended an olive branch.
I'm more than happy to work cooperatively with the entire chamber to improve and enhance processes.
He's going to ask the Department of Premier and Cabinet to report on a process of better determining the confidentiality of Cabinet documents, after Labor called for a legal arbiter to do it.
I've also carefully considered the Greens motion and agreed to table a list of Cabinet and confidence documents relating to the Macquarie Point Stadium before the House rises today.
The move cautiously welcomed.
We are going to hold them to a great level of scrutiny on this. What's important is that we managed to secure today their tabling of the schedule of documents.
It should be the Parliament that's empowered to do that, not DPAC. DPAC is a place where things go to die under this government.
A new empowered crossbench is continually calling for scrutiny. As for whether he thinks his hand was forced,
we have a very clear transparency agenda. It was just earlier this year we started releasing ministerial diaries, for example.
What we have learned over the last month, Mr Speaker, is that balance of power parliaments can deliver much greater transparency.
Today, the Premier tabled amendments to the Projects of State Significance Act, giving Parliament a second vote on whether proposals like the stadium would proceed. They'll be debated when the lower house returns in August. It won't, however, include the right to judicial review. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, St Helens Private Hospital in Hobart will close tomorrow, reducing the number of mental health beds in the state by 31. Non-government parties have called for the state to replace all the lost beds because of the strain on mental health services.
Today, of course, we have the mother and baby unit open for people to be cared in that environment. That is a positive step.
There are 3 beds in the new unit at the Royal Hobart Hospital, and the government is working with providers to replace other services. The value of several Hobart suburbs has doubled, according to new PropTrack data. Rokeby recorded the largest rise, with median house prices jumping from $255,000 to $510,000 in just 4 years. Primrose Sands, Clarendon Vale and Bridgewater also topping the list. Elsewhere, Scamander and the Northwest region saw median house prices increase by 110% in just 3 years. Experts say although numbers did drop last year, strong demand and limited stock has resulted in 5 months of gains. A mother's alleged motive for murdering her son-in-law Shane Barker in Campbelltown is flaky, according to defence lawyers wrapping up a marathon trial. Nolene Jordan's defence counsel cast doubt over her alleged involvement, telling the jury she had moved on from any ill feeling towards the deceased.
The prosecution alleged he was abusive and that his ex-wife's family wanted to kill him. But Shane Barker's mother-in-law, Nolene Jordan, on trial with her husband Cedric for murder, had no such feeling, according to her defence counsel, which told the jury the family had moved on once the separation was settled. The jury heard the family secretly recorded private conversations should be discredited. Comments like, "He'll get what's coming to him," and "There's a bullet with his name on it." Fran McCracken told the jury, people are allowed to use dramatic effect and hyperbole to get a point across or to blow off steam. People spout off like that all the time. The defence also alleged Shane Barker's accused killers weren't at the murder scene, but was simply passing through Campbelltown after a trip to KFC Kings Meadows. The defence telling the jury it was fanciful to think because they were in the area at some broad time, they are responsible. The defence summed up its closing statements by quoting a secret recording used as evidence, where Nolene asked, "Why would we do this? Why would we jeopardise what we've worked so hard for? In effect, why would Nolene leave her granddaughter without a father?" The jury will deliberate from next week. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
2 people have been taken to hospital after a head-on crash north of Hobart. A prime mover and a hatch collided on Tea Tree Road just before midday, the truck ending up on its side with strewn logs taking hours to clean up.
2 people have been injured. one taken to the Royal Hobart Hospital with some significant leg injuries.
Police say inattention may have played a role. With temperatures dropping, dozens of Tasmania's business leaders are spending a night out in the cold. Vinnie's CEO Sleepout is hoping to raise awareness and funds for those sleeping rough across the state. Reporter Annie Green joins us live from UTAS Stadium. Annie, how are the participants keeping warm?
Kim, they're bundled up as best as they can, but it'll be a tall order, staying both cosy and dry tonight. But that's very much the point. According to Vinnie's, there's hundreds of people facing this each and every night in Tasmania. I spoke to them earlier about what the experience is going to be like.
It's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be cold, it's going to be miserable, but at the end of the day, it just would be nothing like it would be like to be a person actually that has to do that night after night under conditions that we can't possibly imagine.
This year, Vinnie's is hoping to raise $160,000 to support its work in battling homelessness. Participants are set for a cold one, with temperatures expected to drop to 5 degrees. Those in Hobart and Launceston can expect some wet weather, which hopefully won't dampen spirits too much. Kim?
Thank you very much there, Annie. Wildlife activists fear a critically endangered Tasmanian species is inching closer to extinction. The Bob Brown Foundation protesting for the protection of the swift parrot after the alleged discovery of fresh logging in a breeding habitat. They claim it's the 4th time this has happened in the Eastern Highlands over the past 2 months and are calling on the Premier to impose an immediate ban on logging in breeding areas. Thousands of Tasmanians have bared their legs, braving cold conditions to spark conversations around mental health. Speak Up, Stay Chatty's Short Stay is now in its 3rd year, with participation rates heating up.
It's the opposite of comfort dressing, but these high school students are cool with conversations around mental health.
It's uncomfortable, and it kind of represents how having the conversation about mental health can be really uncomfortable.
It's a little cold, to be honest, but also it's quite exciting to see everyone out there doing it together.
Thousands of Tasmanians have spent the shortest day of the year in shorts, braving the cold and conversations around mental health. The event's seen an explosion in participation since starting 3 years ago.
There's over 18,500 people participating in Short Stay today, right across Tasmania and actually into Australia on the mainland as well.
Students at Hobart's Mount Carmel College also got in on the action. The organisation is taking a special interest in the mental well-being of some of our youngest.
So amazing, and especially at that young age to get so excited, and they're starting that journey of understanding mental health, so it's really important to see that happening.
This year's theme, encouraging people to find their own way to speak up about how they're feeling.
Everybody has a different way to have that conversation with the people in their lives, and that's so important to know that we all experience mental health differently, so the conversations are going to be different as well.
It normalises the conversation, so it's easier to reach out when you do need the help.
Working towards a future where nobody is left out in the cold. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, locally, more than 40 of Tasmania's best distillers will be on hand for this year's Whisky Week, the event celebrating the state's top drops. Local distiller Johnny Holton is giving a nod to his Irish family history with his offering. Whisky Week is set to feature a dozen events explaining the craft and offering guests a dram or two.
All the different events that we go along to, we have fun, we have a laugh. It's very similar to Ireland, where everyone's out for what's called the crack.
Whisky Week runs from August 7. Tickets are available from tomorrow. Thousands of people had a cheeky start to the day, swapping bathing suits for birthday suits in celebration of the 10th Nude Solstice Swim. The event was a final hurrah to farewell dark mofo and welcome back the sun after Australia's longest night of the year.
As the flare went up, the towels came down.
I just ran nude with a whole bunch of crazy naked people into the ocean, looked back, it was like a slow motion, beautiful moment to bring in the solstice.
Nearly 2,000 red caps bobbing in the Arctic water at Long Beach to cleanse 2 weeks of dark mofo madness.
It's become quite a tradition. It keeps growing and it's sold out so quickly.
For some, bearing all was a bucket list goal ticked off.
I've been wanting to do this for 10 years. We finally made it. I have a very comfortable life, and this is one way of being a bit vulnerable and putting yourself out there.
And while they're not usually quite as exposed, for others, a cool dip is just part of their daily routine.
We swim all year round. I do it every day. I'm trying to do 365 days in a row, and this is 317.
It's the 10th anniversary of the nude Solstice swim, making it extra special but no less cold. The temperature here only just hitting 3 degrees.
It's, you know, that exhilaration and a little bit of trepidation because you're thinking, what's the water going to be like? But no, it's fantastic.
Afterwards, it was cheeks to the charcoal to regain circulation, one of many methods for a speedy recovery.
Now we're going for champagne breakfast at Seagrass to warm up.
Put the car heaters on.
We've got to get to work. We've got to roll up to work like this.
Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania Nudes. News.
And if you thought that looked cold, spare a thought for expeditioners stationed in Antarctica who also took the polar plunge today to celebrate midwinter. With the air temperature at minus 20 degrees, it was warmer in than out. Cold comfort for those submerged in the icy water.
What do you reckon, Tom?
I'm coming out.
Why do we do it? None of us really know. It's invigorating. It's an absolutely amazing way to spend midwinter's day.
35 brave souls at Casey enjoyed the sun while it lasted. Antarctica sees just 2.5 hours of daylight this time of the year. More students than ever will be able to take part in the Premier's Reading Challenge this year, expanded to include years 7 to 10, along with primary school students. Jeremy Rockcliffe visited Kingston's High School's library today, catching up with some avid readers to talk about why they love it.
Just being able to dive into a brand new world and meet new characters and kind of connect with them as well.
Keep stretching, keep looking for that book that will speak to you, because there are literally hundreds of thousands of books out there.
More details are on the Department of Education, Children and Young People's website.
To State League footy now, and Kingborough says Lauderdale deserved to win last week after bringing intensity to the match. Despite the loss, the Tigers are still top of the ladder as they prepare to take on Clarence at Bellerive Oval this weekend. The team's missing Nick Baker for a second straight week.
Bake's had a pretty significant workplace accident last Thursday where he sliced his finger with a drop saw, but luckily, they've been able to reattach that.
Right, meantime, North Hobart is going into round 12 with a confidence boost after beating Glenorchy by 5 goals.
It was tough conditions at North Hobart, and Glenorchy, they brought their pressure and made it a real contest, and I was just really happy with the way we were able to get our game going in the third quarter and hit the scoreboard.
The Demons hoping to continue their success against North Launceston this Saturday. The Jack Jumpers' new big man says he fits the club's culture perfectly. Defensive star Marcus Lee joins on a 1-year contract from Melbourne United and is relishing the chance to play for Scott Roth.
The way he talks to you on the phone, and you get that excitement to be like, all right, I want to go full out every day, and that's what you need as a leader and as a coach.
Over the first 2 years, we haven't had someone of Marcus's size, and obviously Will's there, but not quite as tall. But I think it adds a bit more depth in that big man department.
The club's hoping to announce more signings in the next week. They're rumoured to be talking to Majok Deng and Jordan Crawford. Tasmanian MMA star Razor Rob Wilkinson has taken to social media to explain his absence from the Professional Fighters League this season. The mixed martial arts champion admitted to failing a drug test following his April bout with former UFC light heavyweight title challenger Thiago Santos. He's been stripped of that win and slapped with a 9-month suspension from the sport. Razor Rob says he's extremely disappointed in himself, accepts full responsibility for his actions and will take time to improve his mentality and skills.
Good evening. Today, Hobart 8, Launceston 7, Devonport 9 and Burnie 11 degrees. Flinders Island took out the state's top of 14 degrees, King Island 13, Wynyard 11, Friendly Beaches and Maria both 10, St Helens and Strawn both 9 degrees, Lowhead, Grove and Bushy Park 7, Lyowini managed a top of 4 degrees. The satellite shows overcast conditions about most of Tasmania. High-level cloud sits over the state with an associated weak trough that lies over Bass Strait. High-level cloud also extends over parts of SA and Victoria due to a broad area of low pressure to the south of the Bight. Another frontal cloud band can be seen over southern WA. An area of low pressure remains near the Bight with an associated front moving over southern WA, with a trough about the upper east coast of the state. East to northeasterly winds 10 to 20 knots about the west and north, grading up to 30 knots about the east and the south. Swells up to 1.5 metres in the west and south with mild conditions elsewhere. Now there is a strong wind warning for the Derwent Estuary, Frederick Henry Bay, Norfolk Bay and Storm Bay and most areas of the east coast and southwest coast. An initial flood warning is in place for the South and North Esk rivers. Tomorrow, Hobart and Campania rain 11 degrees, Huonville also rain and 12. Launceston and Devonport can expect rain easing and 11 for Georgetown. Showers expected across the west with showers for Burnie, Strawn and Wynyard. Rain continues in the east, 11 for St Helens and Swansea, Port Arthur 12 and rain. And to the 3-day forecast, Saturday showers about the north extending statewide in the evening with a possible thunderstorm about the north and west coasts. Sunday showers continue about the north and west with possible thunderstorms about the west, otherwise mainly fine. Monday showers about the west, far south and Bass Strait Islands, mainly fine elsewhere. Looking to the mainland, Perth easing showers 15 tomorrow, Darwin 32, Sydney 18 and showers easing for Canberra. Currently, Hobart and Launceston are expecting drizzly conditions with 7 degrees, Devonport cloudy and 8. Kim, winter is certainly living up to its reputation as chilly conditions continue across the state.
You certainly are. Thank you very much, Kaya. Thanks for joining us tonight, everyone. For now, on behalf of the entire team, it is good night.